all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days. The game of clubs and tees had never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that...
Welcome into another episode of the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. I'm Andrew Putters. I'm here with my partner in crime, Joe Nicely. We've got one more tournament of the official stroke play session of the fall swing. Joe Nicely, Rsm Classic coming up. Let's recap a little bit last week, Joe. First, Kokrak out of nowhere, man. What do you think about Kokrak?
Yeah, surprise, man. Had no Kokrak myself last week. Had kind of struggled coming in, but, you know, a talented player on a long golf course. Definitely had all the tools needed. Maybe one that we should have seen coming, or maybe kind of thought he would have a chance to play well there. Our boy Scottie Scheffler still can't get that elusive first win up there right until the end. Kind of lost it on the back nine. Kokrak made a very impressive run. Kind of went on a birdie run there. So hats off to Jason Kokrak. Matthew Wolff played well again. Also struggled on Sunday again, but kind of a lot of interesting takeaways, man, from that tournament last week. We saw these big time, long off the tee, great ball striker tops playing really well, and that's kind of what we thought. We just missed on Kokrak.
Yeah, try Houston Open. You know, like we said last week, we don't have a huge history on this golf course there at Memorial Park in Houston, but not really the ideal person we thought would win. Me and Joe were talking just earlier before the show that he really hadn't played well since the PGA last year in Kiowa, and so he's just kind of been off our radar for a while. We do love him. He's a guy you want to play on big golf courses where you got to hit a lot of fairways, and really any golf course where you got to hit a lot of fairways because he's going to be around par. But Joe, how you doing, man?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. Getting ready to kind of wind it down, the PGA season, knee deep in NFL. I know you're enjoying that as well. We've got our fantasy football league going, which we always have a ton of fun with a bunch of our longtime friends. And so, yeah, man, looking forward to a little bit of rest from golf. It's been a super long year. You and I have talked about it several times. This kind of this super season after COVID, man, it's been a real grind. We've loved it, but also ready for a little bit of a break.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have about, I guess, probably about 7 weeks of break, almost 6 weeks of break. And, you know, there's a couple team events coming up, guys. Draftkings really doesn't do much, so we won't do much either. We might throw a couple of little opinions out there on Twitter, or maybe even an article here or there or something. I don't know. But Rotoballer.com, season, like you said, just around the corner. Football season's halfway through, Joe. Rotoballer.com is here for us week in, week out, providing content for all your daily fantasy needs. Going into the 2022 full season, and there in that second week of January, Joe, what we got to look forward to?
Yeah, man. If you guys can handle it right now, I know it kind of sounds crazy with December and a month off coming up, but right now is really a great time to sign up for our PGA Premium over at Rotoballer. You can sign up right now with my promo code NICE, N-I-C-E. That'll take you through next year's, the 2022 Tour Championship for less than $65. And it is going to go up in January. I'm not sure. I hadn't talked to my bosses over there yet. Don't know what the price is going to be, but I know it's at least going to be $99. So you can sign up right now, save yourself $35, $40 by just going ahead and signing up right now. And you'll be covered all throughout 2022. So really encourage you to go over rotoballer.com. Got the great Spencer Aguiar over there, does amazing articles. Josh Bennett does a hole-by-hole course breakdown. PGA DFS Research Station, all kinds of articles. So really hope you'll go check it out. Encourage you to. You can also check out our NFL content, our NBA content over at Rotoballer. My boy Thunderdan's killing it. You can use my promo code on those sports as well and get a discount. So head over to rotoballer.com. No matter what sports you're playing, got you covered in season long and DFS.
That's right. Rotoballer.com, best place in the world for your daily fantasy needs. When you're signing up, use the promo code NICE, N-I-C-E. So we put the Houston Open to bed, Joe. Let's move on to the RSM Classic. Like we said earlier, last leg of the fall swing. this tournament's been around since 2010. It's been played 11 times. What's interesting statistic about this place? Well, the first 5 years it was just played on the Seaside course. Then 2015 they moved to the Seaside and Plantation course. So each day, the first 2 days, each participant will play 18 on each. Then after the cut, it'll move just to the Seaside course. Now, in saying that, an interesting stat about it is that both prior and after the change of venues or the change of the style of tournament, this is the playoff course, Joe. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 6 out of 11 years, there's been a playoff in this tournament. 4 out of the last 6 since they moved to dual courses, there's been a playoff. So that's very interesting. No really understanding why that is so, but it is. As far as down there at St. Simons Island, Georgia, where this is played, the Sea Island Golf Club, Davis Love, Zach Johnson are a couple pros that live down the area. This is going to be a huge locals. If you hit the ball straight, you putt good on Bermuda greens, and you're from Georgia. That's kind of what you want to be keen on this week. I'll talk a little bit about just the Seaside course because that's where the majority of the tournament's going to be. It's designed in 1929 by Harry Colt and Charles Allison, redesigned in 1999 by Tom Fazio, and really this is a standard Fazio style golf course anyway. Bermuda pretty much throughout, except Paspalum tees, but Bermuda throughout greens, fairways, rough. Par 77,000 yards right at it, Joe. Like I said, this is going to be if you hit it straight and you play in the wind and put good on Bermuda and you're from Georgia, that's what we're keen on. So, Joe, anything else you want to say about the Seaside course at St. Simons Resort?
Yeah, man, you called it. It's the most competitive club championship in the world every year. It's the Sea Island Club Championship, man. There's as you mentioned, there's a ton of narratives as far as guys with ties to this area, both as residents and through SEC play. The SEC championships are held on this golf course every year. So that's something we can take a look at. University of Georgia players that have come out of that program have done extremely well on this golf course and in this tournament. We'll talk about a ton of those guys this week. So this is one of those weeks where I'm willing to kind of go with the off-course narratives a little bit, and willing to lean into the course history for this tournament and the guys that have ties to this golf course in this area, because when you're looking through the results the past 5, 6, 7 years in this golf course, you really see that kind of come to fruition with guys posting good results.
Yeah, I mean this week in particular is definitely the week where you can, I feel like almost not all the way, but quite a bit, maybe 80, 90% you can throw out the door as far as how they've been playing lately. This is really just if you look at past results. I'm not saying you're going to pick the winner out of past results, but you could probably pick 60% of the top 10 out of past results. That's kind of where I'm leaning this week. I mean, and we'll just get right into the slate, Joe. 10K and above, Harrison English, Cam Smith, Oosthuizen, Simpson, and Scheffler. If you go just course history right out of the gate before I hand the mic over to you, really, to me, the only person that has really good course history and wants to or that fits into the story that we think that the tournament's going to tell is Webb Simpson. And Joe, my opinion is Webb tied 37th last year, and really had a bad year. So I'm not sure I'm willing to go anywhere in this top price range.
Yeah, man. In years past, we'd be knocking each other over to roster Webb. The results have certainly been there. Just in his last 3 RSM starts, he's got a second and third. So the course history's certainly there. He's been a beast on this golf course. Fits his game extremely well. A ton of crossover kind of between Quail Hollow, between Sedgefield, where he's played so well at the Wyndham. So just a ton to love about Webb, except the recent form. Has just kind of been out of sorts over the past year or so. We know he's kind of battled a little bit of an injury. there around the time of the Wells Fargo when he's forced to withdraw from that event. Certainly kind of raised some eyebrows, but hadn't really got back to being the Webb that we know. Left off the Ryder Cup team. That kind of gives you an indication of where he is. So yeah, you love the course history. I think you can certainly play Webb because it is such a good course fit. But I'm a little bit concerned about the form. Up at the top of the board, man, we got Scottie Scheffler. I mean, you almost have to look at him coming off a great performance last week in Houston. Unfortunately, wasn't able to close that one out, but he was up there for the second consecutive week. We saw him play really well the tournament before that. And even though this golf course doesn't really suit his strengths, which is length, I prefer Scheffler on tougher golf courses, kind of like we seen last week. But he does have a T5 in this event on his resume back in 2020. So even though it's kind of taken away one of his big advantages, which is his length and his ability on par fives, just a world-class player, man. I think you can definitely look at Scheffler. Louis, this golf course would seem to fit to a T. We know what type of year he's had in 2021 with all his success in the majors. But he did miss the cut here last year. This isn't a tournament that he's routinely played. So it's kind of an interesting little course fit. Just projecting for Louis, it would seem to be great. But missed the cut last year. Then you got Harris English, T6 in this course last year. Got the Georgia ties, got the area ties. So I think you can certainly look at him. Cam Smith making his debut here. So kind of an unknown how this course is going to fit Cam Smith. So if I'm looking up, I like the fit with Louis O. And I think you have to give Scottie Scheffler a look just because of the form.
I like your detail there, Joe. Moving on down the 9K range, Adam Scott, Kisner, Gooch, Norn, Henley, Neiman, Connors. I'm all over this range, Joe. There's three guys that I'm green lighting out of the gate, possibly a fourth. I'm just going to say here, Kevin Kisner is an automatic. Corey Connors is an automatic. We have to think, even though maybe the Henley hasn't always played well here. He's missed the cut 2 of the last 5 years. He got top 10 2017, tied for 30th last year. I got to think Henley with his Georgia ties. We feel like we got to still like him a little bit. Maybe not a full green light out of me, Joe, but possibly. And I like I kind of like Taylor Gooch here, Joe. I know his form here has not always been good. But this seems like just a tournament that would fit him. I'm not going to full green light him, but Kisner and Corey Connors, that's an automatic for me in this range. And without even any course history, I got to think Adam Scott would play this golf course fairly well. So, but I mean, we don't know if he's touched a golf club in a month. So,
right.
But
who knows if Adam Scott even cares at this point?
Yeah, right. So Kisner and Connors, Henley, I like. I don't dislike Norn completely, even though he's fairly inconsistent overall. Played pretty well here in the past, but and then of course, like I said, Gooch is somebody to look at, but not based on the course history, even though that's the story we're trying to tell this week.
Yeah, really super interesting range, man. And if you aren't feeling those guys up at the top, I think you can start your lineup builds here. Maybe just pluck a couple guys from this 9K range and kind of go that route. You know how I feel about Corey Connors. Love his ball striking, love his tee to green ability. This golf course suits him extremely well. Had a T10 here last year, a T23 in another start. Russell Henley kind of checks a lot of the boxes we're looking for this week. Very sharp ball striker, very accurate. A Georgia alum, so it has tons of experience on this track. So I think you can certainly look at Henley. Norn, you mentioned, played well here, but there is that inconsistency. I would kind of put him more in the GPP only box if I'm looking for a guy with the upside, but maybe that's a little bit boom or bust. I think Norn goes in that bucket. Taylor Gooch, man, you know how I felt about him last week. Got off to a great start in Houston, and then things just went sideways. Not really sure what happened there. Missed the cut in 3 of his last 4 starts in this event. But I'm with you, Andrew. It seems like it would be a good fit for Taylor Gooch. So I think he can certainly go back to the well there. It might be a little bit contrarian to kind of bounce back with him off a rather poor outing in Houston last week. And then you mentioned Kevin Kisner, man, just the definition of a course horse, South Carolina native, lived in this area, extremely familiar with this layout, a former winner here, lost in a playoff here last year, a couple more really high finishes on his RSM resume. So checks all those boxes. The only thing we're missing is the form. It's been really, really bad since he won at the Wyndham back in August. Has lost strokes tee to green and on approach in every start since that win, Andrew. We know he can turn it on. We know he's a streaky type of player, and we know not every course is a great fit for him. So maybe a little bit more willing to throw the recent form out with Kiz than I would be some other guys because he is such a specific style of player. But yeah, man, overall, totally agree. Love this 9K range.
Yeah, 8K range is going to be equally as interesting for me. Not saying I'm in love with it, but there's some players I really want to look at. It's kind of there's not many players in this range, but I'll name them off. Chris Kirk, Johnny Vegas, Power, Miko Pereira, Brennan Todd, Joel Damon. About called him Johnny Damon. Joel Damon, Mckenzie Hughes, Max Homa, Rose, Bradley. Now, there's some people that we would, I think, on this style of golf course we would like, but the form maybe hasn't necessarily been there. We got top 15th last year out of Keegan, but I'm not willing to put any eggs in that basket. There's a couple guys that I do like here, and that's going to be Chris Kirk, the Georgia guy, and Brennan Todd, who has good course history here. Not great course history, but good, and it really fits the Brennan Todd MO. Short and tight, plays good in the wind. Doesn't necessarily put great on Bermuda greens, but I think he would be somebody you can look at 8,400. Chris Kirk got off to a great start last week, ended up kind of falling off. So that's my guys there, Joe, in the 8K range.
Yeah, in agreement with you on Chris Kirk, man. Another course history guy, another Georgia Bulldog, former winner here. Had a T18 here last year. Also has a T4 in addition to that win on his resume. We've seen some signs of life out of Kirk lately, so I think you can definitely go there at 8K. You mentioned Brennan Todd. This is one of the courses where we kind of want to circle him. This golf course is just a little bit over 7,000 yards, so this is one of the layouts that Brennan Todd can handle with his lack of length off the tee. And then Mckenzie Hughes, I wanted to mention him there at 8.6K. Former winner here, hasn't played well since he won this event on this golf course, but coming in very good form. I like the direction his game's trending. So I think you can give Mckenzie Hughes here a look at 8.6.
Yeah, I struggle with McKenzie overall. I mean,
it's a tough price point for him, man. You maybe want to see him in the low eights, the upper sevens. Yeah, I feel you. It's kind of tough to pull the trigger there, but it's kind of interesting. I mean, we know he's got some upside when that putter gets going. So,
right,
kind of an interesting tournament play for me.
These next three guys will definitely got some of the pieces of the resume that you're gonna be looking at. A couple of vets, Matt Kucher and Charles Howe, and then a Brian Harmon coming off his best season in his career. Missed a cut here last year before he got hot, but I think you got to look right out of the gate in the 7K range at these three names. I know, past 5-6 years, maybe Kutcher's kind of fallen off, but I mean, if this course he's pretty comfortable on, that goes a long way. So other than that, Patrick Rogers lost in the playoff years back. Robert Streb, 7,500s, won here twice. Some reason we have no idea why, but he's won here twice. Luke Liss is just ball striker. Brandon Grace, ball striker. Grilio, ball striker. This is like a ball striker's range here in 7,000, Joe. So I'm gonna say those top three names I like pretty well. I like a Luke Liss. I like a Keith Mitchell. They kind of fit the storyline we're kind of tell SEC guys hit it long ways, hit it straight. Play wins doesn't seem to bother them because of the way their ball flies. So Now there's several more in this 7K range that you can go with. Those are the guys that I'm kind of looking at here.
Yeah, those kind of the top 3 in the 7K range, Andrew. You mentioned those. I think they'll probably draw a lot of eyes this week. Matt Kucher, the game kind of finally seems to be turning around a little bit. We know this is his type of track, man. Just a plotter's golf course. This is a Matt Kucher bread and butter special right here, man. Same can be said for Charles Howe, former winner here, obviously a Georgia guy from Augusta. So Brian Harman, the form's kind of left him. He was just a print machine for us there for about a 3-4 month stretch earlier this year. But since then, things have really kind of fell by the wayside for Brian Harman. I don't know that I can get back on here with the way the form's been and with other good plays around him. We mentioned when we were talking before the show, man, Patrick Rogers, kind of this doesn't seem like his type of track, but had a couple of good finishes here over the last 5 years, but the other outings have been miscuts. So you don't really know what to do with Rogers. I do like Adam Long here, Andrew. Actually playing really good golf over the past several weeks. Made the cut in his last 2 starts on this layout, T30 and T35, and his last 2 RSM starts. Love the form coming in, so I'm going to try to ride the hot hand with Adam Long. And as you move on down, man, I'm going to start looking at some of these SEC guys, some of these guys with ties to this golf course. Hayden Buckley went to the University of Missouri in the SEC, so he's got some familiarity with playing here in the SEC championships. This is a guy that we saw near the top of the salary scale just a few weeks ago, AP. We can catch him now at 7,300. So I'm jumping on Hayden Buckley here at this price point. Really, really like that play. Tyler Duncan's a former winner here. Won here back in 2020. He's coming in good form. Had a final round 66 last weekend at the Houston Open. My boy, Alex Smalley, who I love, snuck in the field on us last week. We couldn't play him on DraftKings. Didn't get in until late. He was an alternate. There was a withdrawal there, and he got in. But I love Alex Smalley at 7,100. Think you can go right there to him. And then kind of some names some Sea Island guys. Zach Johnson, Lucas Glover, these vets down here kind of rounding out the 7K price point. I'd almost rather go with one of these young guys here. Take a Hayden Buckley at 7.3, man, or a Chad Ramey at 69. Even though Zach Johnson's Mr. Sea Island. Give me your thoughts there, AP, getting on down into the 6s.
I mean, you named it right there. Starting at 7K, guy that you love to hate, Lucas Glover, makes a lot of sense on this place. Zach Johnson, obviously, like a top 10 machine here. I think last year on this show, I think I yelled out a top 5 guarantee or something like that. And I think we had him across the board, top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, and raked it in right there. Stuart Sink definitely is a course. This course you want to highlight him. Matt Naismith, I would think you want to highlight him here. Davis Riley, the young gun, you probably want to highlight him. I want to say Russell Knox, Joe, but I saw last week that he's on the list already. He's the first participant on the list of 2021. Grayson Sigg, definitely a name you want to throw out there.
We're gonna talk about some Grayson Sigg.
Yeah, Swaffer. I think that's a name. I think he's had some success here, and I think he might actually is a former winner. I know he's been in the playoff or two. And I mean, some of the newer, Vaughn Taylor, definitely a name if you want to throw in there. You can get him in there at 6,500. He will be around on the weekend, guys, on this track. I can almost guarantee you that. And I'll even say that maybe some guys that have struggled over here, like Austin Cook, Brent Snedeker. They've struggled over the last few years, but this golf course makes sense with their name. So I could see the young gun angle, and I can also see the vet angle too, Joe. And I always lean towards the vet, and you always lean toward the young gun. So there you go.
I think there's strong cases could be made for going either way, or even mixing and matching down here, man. This sounds crazy. This is the last term of the year. We're in the almost at Thanksgiving, AP, but So it sounds weird to say. I actually absolutely love the 6K range this week, man. It's crazy. I want to be living down here. I almost wish there were a little more up at the top that I really liked, because I feel like you could really go stars and scrubs with some of these guys down here. You mentioned a bunch of them that I kind of like too. Matthew Neesmith sticks out. South Carolina native, T15 and T14 in his last 2 starts here. Davis Riley is a young player that's coming on. University of Alabama alum, has a lot of SEC ties. Played here in the SEC championship, and he's playing some good golf heading into this week. Has looked pretty good during the swing season, so I think you can look at Davis Riley. Grayson Sigg, University of Georgia. Andrew, a ton of experience here, both at the SEC championships and the Jones Cup. Missed the cut last week, but that was a pretty bad course fit, just because of the length. Had a 68 in round 1, and then shot 75 the second round. So I'm willing to hop back on, man. I think this golf course is excellent for Grayson Sigg. Hank Lebioda, we had a Hank Lebioda sighting last week, and that's something you might want to consider. We know he's streaky. When he gets going, he can play really well. Lee Hodges is another young man that we can take a look at down here. And kind of the last guy I want to round up with, a guy that won the Jones Cup, a big amateur event on this golf course, also played really well in the SEC championships. That's Davis Thompson, down at 6,400. I think you can look at him. You mentioned Austin Cook, former winner here. This golf course is obviously a great fit for his game. And I think that can be said for several guys as we get on down into the 6s, man. As I mentioned, I really do like this range this week. I have no problem at all dipping down into the 6s when building rosters.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. Dart play of the week. We're gonna lean into this early, Joe, here on the last episode of the Fall Swing here on the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast, brought to you by Rotoballer.com. Dart play of the week is the winner of this tournament comes out of the 6K range. I don't really have a name for you.
Might not be a bad call.
The winner of this tournament comes out of the 6K range. I mean, Zach Johnson, Chad Ramey, Harry Higgs, Matt Jones, ball striker, Stuart Sink, Cam Davis, Naismith, Sabatini. Who knows what that guy's going to do? Scott Stallings, Streaky, Grayson Sigg, Libiota, Swafford, Johnny Howe. I mean, these are guys that could. I wouldn't be surprised if Graham McDowell threw a top 20 in there. Kevin Tway, he's played down here a ton. Vaughn Taylor
had a good week last week.
Yeah, Vaughn Taylor, like we already mentioned. Kelly Craft, ball striker that nobody likes. Andy Novick, Austin Cook, Brent Snedeker, JT Poston. Any of these names I'm naming could win this tournament. So, and this, you haven't said it. It would not surprise me one bit if Jim Herman came out won by 3 shots.
It's possible.
I mean, we're down here in the 6K range. Nothing's gonna surprise me down here. The winner of this.
Let me throw the name at you down here, Andrew. Just I got to get this guy in. I had him circled to mention, and I forgot a second ago. JJ Spawn, 6,700. Had a second place here a few years ago. Has made the cut in 4 of his last 5 RSM starts. And you look at his game log this fall, man, played some really good golf. I think our buddy Michael Rubelo is a JJ Spawn truther. So shout out Ruby. I'm on the JJ Spawn wagon with you this week, buddy.
JJ Spawn. Yeah, there's so many good names down here in the 6,000 range. Joe, what's your dart play of the week?
Man, the entire 6K range. I'll take them all, AP. I like them all this week. Man, I think there's so many ways you could go. I love a lot of these guys in the 6s that we've mentioned. Love Alex Smalley there at 7,100. You know, he's a favorite of mine. Tyler Duncan's a guy I like to play on this golf course. I want to toss out kind of a forgotten guy, Hayden Buckley.
Hayden Buckley.
Yeah, I'm going Hayden Buckley, man.
Okay, then where's your heart at?
My heart is, man, it always goes straight to Corey Connors, it seems like. I'm going to go Mckenzie Hughes. Going Mckenzie Hughes. I'm closing out the year with some wild picks, man. I'm going Mckenzie Hughes this week. What about you, man?
I cannot get behind that. Cannot get behind that. I cannot endorse that pick, Joe.
By the time we do this show again, Andrew, everybody's gonna have forgotten that I took Mckenzie Hughes. So unless you remind them, so I'm going out on that this week.
I cannot pass on the opportunity to bring up that Corey Connors is a future world star, and this golf course. I have a hard time finding golf courses that don't fit him, Joe. So
Corey Connors, man, you know he's our guy. So I'm with you on
that. And we're no matter how bad Kisner's played, he's going to play well here too. So he's a safe play for those out there. Those grinders out there, he's a safe play too. But Corey Connors is my number one guy. So Buckley, Mckenzie, the whole 6K range, and Corey Connors.
I like it.
Okay, guys. Thanks everybody for listening. If you like what you heard, please share with others. Throw us a comment, YouTube, wherever it is you're listening, Google, Apple Podcast. He's Joe Nicely. I'm Andrew Putters. This is the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast brought to you by Rotoballer.com.
I've already hit 3 in the lake. It's gone.